praises to the Most High and His only begotten Son. I'm Brother Josiah, here with the Watchman 144 congregation. And today's study is called The Day of the Lord, Part 3, The Earth and the Heavens. So today's study is about the earth and the heavens, its condition that it will be in or during Christ's second coming, right? So let's get the first scripture. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 37 to 39. And it reads, "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." So the scriptures say that in the days of Noah, right, the people of that time were eating and marrying and giving into marriage. What does that mean? That means these are regular things that they did on a day-to-day basis during the time of Noah, right? So it says everybody was doing what they did on a day-to-day basis, and they knew not once the flood came, right? So what does that mean? So that means that these people were going on with everyday living, right? And all of a sudden, the flood came upon them. And they did not know that the flood was going to come upon them, right? So let's get the first verse, right? So what condition will the heavens and the earth be in during the time of the coming of the Son of Man? You know what I'm saying? Let's start with the heavens, right? Let's get the first verse. Let's get Matthew chapter 24, verse 29. And it reads, "Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken." So it says immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun and the moon shall be darkened, right? And it also says that the stars shall fall from heaven. Now, what would that look like here on earth if the stars that's in heaven fell down and hit the earth? So it says immediately after the tribulations, right, we shall see the stars falling from heaven. And it also says that the powers of heaven shall be shaken. What does it mean by the powers of heaven shall be shaken? We got to look at what's in heaven, right? We got the constellation, right? It says their power, it says shall be shaken. That sounds like to me that it's going to be an earthquake, or what we call a quake, in the heavens. Not on earth, but in the heavens. So imagine all the stars and the moon and the constellations, all these things shaking during the coming of the Son of Man, right? Let's get the next verse. Let's get Isaiah chapter 34, verse 4. And it reads, "And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falls off from the vine, and as the falling fig from the fig tree." So it says, all the hosts of heaven, right, shall be dissolved. What is the host of heaven, right? Could the host of heaven be the stars, moon, sun, right? Milky Way, all the things that you see out there, the Orion's belt, however you want to put it. These things will dissolve, right, during the return of Jesus the Christ. And it says, "And the heavens shall be rolled together like a scroll." So rolled together like a scroll. During the coming of the return of Jesus, the universe is going to be affected. It says that the host of heavens shall dissolve. The host of heavens is the constellation, or what we call the constellation, right? Shall dissolve, right? Melt away, right? Let's get the next verse. Let's get Joel chapter 3, verse 16. And it reads, "The Lord also shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake, but the Lord will be the hope of his people, and the strength of the children of Israel." So it says in this verse that the heavens and the earth shall shake. Just like I spoke on the previous verse, right? That these things are going to be affected during the time of the return of the Son of Man. I mean, he gonna be so powerful, right? When he's pushing through the universe, right? The heavens or whatever, right? On his way to the earth, that everything around him is gonna be affected, right? It says that he shall come in the glory of his Father, right? The power, the glory of his Father, right? And by this, the heavens and the earth shall shake at his coming. Let's get the next verse. Let's get Isaiah chapter 51, verse 6. And it reads, "Lift up your eyes to the heavens and look upon the earth beneath. For the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment, and they that dwell therein shall die in like manner. But my salvation shall be forever, and my righteousness shall not be abolished." Christ is coming with the glory of his Father, and he's going to be so powerful that the heavens, right, shall vanish away like smoke. How is that going to look here on earth? When we look up, what we deem are called to be the heavens, right, vanish away like smoke. So now we know that the heavens shall shake, the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, right? So let's go see what's happening with the sun and moon during the return of Jesus the Christ, aka the Messiah, the Mashiach, right? Let's get Joel chapter 2, verse 30 to 31. And it reads, "And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come." So the scriptures say, before the day of the Lord come, right, that the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall turn into blood, right? The sun be darkened. Now, if the sun, what is that going to look like down here on earth if the sun is darkened? How scary would that be, right? And it says, "Then the moon shall turn into blood." We kind of got a good idea of what that could look like, because today we see the moon going through certain phases just like that today. It turns red, it turns a reddish color, orangish, however you see it, right? So it says, before the day of the Lord, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall turn into blood, right? These are the constellations, right? Let's get the next verse. Let's get Revelation chapter 6, verse 12 to 15. And it reads, "And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every man hid himself in the dens and in the rocks of the mountain." So when he comes, the elements that control our world start discombobulating when he comes to the earth. And remember, it says that the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, meaning the sun is not going to give light no more during the return of Jesus, right? It's not going to give any light whatsoever. It's going to be black as sackcloth of hair, right? And remember, the moon became as blood. All these things are going to happen during the time of the return of the Son of Man. Let's get the next verse. Let's get Psalms 114, verse 4 to verse 7. And it reads, "The mountains skipped like rams, and the little hills like lambs. What allied thee, O thou sea, that thou fleddest, thou Jordan, that thou wast driven back? Ye mountains that ye skip like rams, and ye little hills like lambs. Tremble thou earth at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the God of Jacob." So it says, tremble thou earth at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the God of Jacob, right? David was saying, hey, ye mountains, skip like rams, and ye hills, skip like lambs, right? What does he mean by that? How are we going to sit up here and tell a mountain to skip like a ram? What does it look like when a ram skips, right? Giving connection to the previous verse that we read when it says mountains and hills shall be moved out of their place, right? This is speaking on the same thing. These mountains are going to get towed up when the Son of God returns to the earth. They're going to be moved out of their places. They're going to skip like rams, right? Let's get the next verse. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 24 to 26. And it reads, "I beheld the mountains, and lo, they trembled, and all the hills moved lightly. I beheld, and lo, there was no man, and all the birds of the heavens were fled. I beheld, lo, the fruitful place was as a wilderness, and all the cities thereof were broken down at the presence of the Lord, and by his fierce anger. I beheld," meaning I seen the mountains, and lo, they trembled, and all the hills moved lightly. And the hills moved by his fierce anger during the coming of the Lord. The reason why these hills are moved lightly and these mountains are trembling because of the presence of the Lord. Christ is coming not only with the glory of God, but with the wrath of God as well. Christ is coming back to save the believers, the servants, the chosen people, right? And he's also to come to judge the wicked and put an end of this buffoonery that the devil got going on. Let's get the next verse. So this is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 19 to 20. And it reads, "For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel, so that the fishes of the sea, the fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the field, and all the creepy things that creep upon the earth, and all men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence. And the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground." So it says that mountains shall shake at the presence of the Lord, and every wall shall be knocked down. So if every wall is going to be knocked down, so that means every building and every house, every grocery store, every mall, every standing structure shall be knocked down when Jesus returns, right? Let's get the next verse. Let's get Habakkuk chapter 3. We go read verse 6, and then we go jump over to verse 10. And it reads, "He stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. The mountains saw thee, and they trembled. The overflowing of water passed by. The deep uttered his voice and lifted up his hands on high." So it says that the everlasting mountains scattered and the hills did bow by the coming of the Lord, right? They trembled because the Lord showed up, right? And it says that the mountains saw thee and trembled. So that means these mountains, when they felt or seeing the presence of the Lord, they trembled. They were moved out of their place. The mountains saw thee, and they trembled. The mountains saw the Son of God, and they trembled. Right? Why did they tremble? Because he's coming in the glory of his Father, right? The Most High, the Holy Father, the Abba, right? How's that even possible? What is that going to look like here on earth? That means the mountain is going to quake and shake and be tossed to and fro, right? Let's get the next verse. So we get in Isaiah chapter 24. We go read verse 1, right? And then we go jump on to verse 3 and read 3 through 6. And then we go jump over to verse 20. And it reads, Behold, the Lord makes the earth empty and makes it waste, and turns it upside down, and scatters abroad the inhabitants thereof. The land shall be utterly emptied, utterly spoiled, for the Lord has spoken this word. The earth mourns and fades away. The world languishes and fades away. And the haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore has the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. The earth shall read to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage. And the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. So the first verse said, Behold, the Lord is the one that empties the earth and turns it upside down, and it scatters the inhabitants abroad, right? Turns the earth upside down, right? And why would he turn the earth upside down? Because the inhabitants of the earth have done what? They have transgressed his laws and changed his ordinance. This is why destruction must happen to the planet during the coming of the Son of Man, because the earth has what? Transgressed his laws and changed his ordinance. What does it mean by they changed his ordinance, right? What does ordinance mean? Let's put it up on the screen for you, right? Ordinance. This is why the earth must be empty. This is why the inhabitants must be scattered. And this is why the earth will be turned upside down. Let's read verse 6 again. Therefore has the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. Because everybody on the planet Earth has transgressed God's laws, which majority mainstream Christianity teaches you to transgress God's law by saying that you don't have to follow God's laws no more. It literally says that the reason why he's going to empty out the world, right, and turn it upside down is because they have transgressed his laws, and then they change his ordinance, right? What do you mean they change his ordinance? What do they change? The way Christ looked? We can start there. Christians celebrate Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, right? All these things are not a part of God's ordinance, right? But the world has changed these things because Passover, Pentecost, right? Feast of Dedication, Purim, these are the things that God ordained. The world has changed these things today. Now Passover is called Easter. Right? Instead of doing the Feast of Dedication, right, you're doing Thanksgiving, right? These are the things that they changed. The whole world is not on sync with the Bible or God's words because they're not doing none of his ordinances, right? So this is why that the earth must be turned upside down. And remember, it also says that the earth shall be reed to and fro like a drunkard. What does it mean, reed to and fro like a drunkard? That means going from side to side, trying to catch a balance, falling over. It says the earth shall be in that condition when Christ show up. It shall read to and fro like a drunkard, right? Let's get the next verse. Let's get 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. And it reads, But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. It says, so the day of the Lord is as a thief in the night, right? This is why I read this verse right here, is the reason why I read Matthew 24 and 37 to 39, because it says the day of the Lord is as a thief in the night. What does it mean by thief in the night? You're not going to know that that particular day is the day that the Lord was going to return. Just like that particular night, you did not know that that thief was going to go in and rob you. Just like you didn't know when you were going to get robbed. Don't nobody know when they're going to get robbed. Don't nobody know when the thief is coming, right? So shall it be, right? In the day of the Lord, people are not going to know that that particular day was going to be the day that the Lord returns. And it says the heavens shall pass away, and right, the elements, right, shall melt with fervent heat. It said all these things shall melt away with fervent heat. And it also says the earth and all the works therein shall be burned up. So what does it mean by all the works therein? Trees, grass, buildings, rivers, mountains, hills, land, flowers, grass, trees, garden, fruit, all that is going to be burned up. All these things will be burned up on the day of the Lord. Let's get the next verse. Let's get Nahum chapter 1, verse 5 through 6. And it reads, the mountains quake at him, and the hills melt, and the earth is burned at his presence. Yeah, the world and all that dwell therein. Who can stand before his indignation? Who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him. So it says the mountains quake at him, and also the hills shall melt at him, and the earth is burned at his presence. The world and all that dwell therein will be burned up during the coming of the Lord, right? It says that the earth, right, shall burn, right? And it asks, who can abide it? What can you buy, or what can you do, or how much money do you have to spend in order to get ready to prepare for the day of the Lord, right? Doomsday preppers, anybody, any of y'all, how much food can you how much food can you stock, or how much food can you buy so you'll be able to eat during the day of the Lord and his return? There is no amount that you can buy, spend, or eat, or stock up. Right? It says no one shall escape, right? How are you going to hide and be prepared or spend money on some type of contraption to keep you safe when it says the whole earth shall burn? To hell with the building or the contraption you in, where the contraption is at, which is on earth, that's going to burn, and everything in it, right? So who can abide it? We're reading these scriptures today so you can prepare for these moments. And the only way you can prepare for this is to give your life to God, follow his laws, statutes, and commandments, right? And believe in his son, the Messiah. These are the things that you have to do in order to prepare. Now, some people may think otherwise. Well, that's fine. But when we get before the Father, I'd rather get caught doing more than doing less. What I mean, like, if you feel like we don't have to keep the laws, well, I'd rather get caught doing them than rather me get caught not doing them when I was supposed to do them. And I'm really in trouble. I already got a hard enough time keeping up with this flesh. So we bring you these studies so you can prepare for these situations and know so you won't be caught off guard. They said that the worst punch to get hit by is the punch that you don't see coming. I'm Brother Josiah here with the Watchman 144, and we just completed the Day of the Lord Part 3, the earth and the heavens. Shabbat Shalom, because today is the Sabbath. So Shabbat Shalom to the believers. All praises to the Most High and his holy begotten Son. You feel me? Godspeed, and have a good night.